This is the Fortean Slip with your host, Chris York.
But he can smell the Loveland Frogman.
It's a Mothman festival.
Oh, Mothman, whatever the fuck it is, I don't give a shit.
Co-host, Steve Alcorn.
I'm lazy, and I don't do YouTube videos anymore, but I still get money from YouTube on occasion.
And sometimes special guest, Matt Knapp.
Maybe I could go down in history as the first eyewitness of a moth woman.
I think you should endeavor to do that.
Taking down all things strange since 2013.
But my reservation.
What would Jesus do, Steve? What would Jesus do?
In Chris's world, that's called a good day, Steve. Oh, Steve, you're a damn investigator.
I don't know much about that subject. But what subject do I know about?
Which means he can hear it on a quiet day. That's kind of like one of your cryptid sightings, Steve. Asshole lives matter, Steve. What's the Mothman's name?
Actual name?
Fred Dryer.
That's not the Mothman's name.
Dude, you would be hard-pressed to get me to attend a Bigfoot conference if it was like a block away from me.
I was gonna say if it was in Tulsa.
Wolfman Jack was on the air.
I'm the Wolfman.
Another astro.
Every time I do any sort of impression, he has to trump me.
You're about to witness the strength of creep knowledge.
Good evening, and welcome to the Fortean Slip. This is episode 116. I'm on top of shit tonight. For once. If you wanted a professional podcast, tune in somewhere else. You're not gonna get it here. Tonight we welcome back to the show Mr. Matt Knapp. He's been on hiatus. Busy. Crazy. How's things going, Matt?
Hey ho, the gang's all here.
Yeah. The fucking stars aligned. Like at the same time Mars became like totally visible to the naked eye and is like closest to the earth. Like the stars all aligned and we were able to do a show.
Everybody was talking about that Mars deal and I was really excited about it. So, I went outside last night to check it out. Right as everybody was talking about, it's coming up and it's just amazing and spectacular. And completely cloudy, couldn't see shit. Couldn't even see the moon. Pretty much.
That's the way it was here on the last eclipse, lunar eclipse. We couldn't see shit. For about 3 seconds, I could see the damn thing. So I slept through the Mars event last night.
I saw the whole eclipse when that had happened, but I missed the Mars thing. Totally missed it. Read about it. It was like, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, Mars.
No,
whatever.
didn't happen. Didn't happen. I did not check out the Red Planet. I didn't look for John Carter. Was that his fucking name? John Carter of Mars. Some bullshit. I think I started reading the books at one point. But yeah, we were able to get everybody all together this evening. I happened to have the night off. I got in touch with everybody earlier and said, let's fucking do this shit if we can. So here we are. As far as a fucking topic, I mean, I don't know. I have not a fucking clue.
You just got done saying you're on top of shit tonight.
I'm on top of shit. If there's no topic and we're freeform, I'm still on top of shit, Steve. See, that is the method to my madness.
You're right.
That's why it always works, because no matter what, I'm just going to do whatever the fuck it is that I'm going to do, and we'll roll with it. We always have.
That's right. Damn straight.
And sometimes it comes off well. Other times it comes off like a big pile of shit. We'll let you be the judge what tonight is. One thing I did want to talk about, because we've been fucking talking about it like incessantly, trying to get Matt on this fucking show, is that fucking Dogman encounter story that Richard wanted you to retell. That sighting report that you took.
Oh, the one that I took?
Yeah, the one. You know which one I'm talking about, right?
I've only taken one report on the Dogman, so I think I can but yeah, I don't want to talk about that.
You don't want to... Is this like spontaneous human combustion?
Yeah.
If you talk about the Dogman, it becomes real.
Yeah. Oh, no. I mean, if everybody's been waiting on me to tell that story, then fuck it, I just won't.
All right.
I was, yeah, I can tell that story. I mean, if that's what you want me to do.
Well, it had been brought up that we should rehash it, so I had intended at one point in time to do a Dogman show, like a proper Dogman show, because you had brought up, hey, have we ever done the Dogman? And I was like, you know something, I know we've done it like at least once, and I know I did one with Fred, but I looked back, we did like fucking 3 or 4 Dogman shows.
Have we ever talked about aliens?
No.
What about time travel?
No,
have we ever mentioned?
We've never touched on that. We should do a John Teeter show.
I was going to say about the intro, I noticed a couple things. Not that I'm just noticing it for the first time, but, you know, with a little clever editing, you could change that bit I said about the moth woman into an entirely different message. And
yes.
I also wanted to say thank you for pronouncing the name of my hometown correctly, Tulsa. There's this guy that's, I guess, flying a solar-powered airplane around the world or something, and him and his crew like stopped in Tulsa. I think it was last week. Touched down here for the night because obviously the plane doesn't do too well at nighttime. And
well, yeah,
his crew had posted this video to the internet, you know, about stopping over in Tulsa, and the whole video was like random people trying to be funny and pronounce the name Tulsa. And I'm just like, is it really that difficult? Tulsa?
How can you mispronounce Tulsa?
Yeah.
You can't.
But they're saying, like, just, you know, butchering it as much as possible. I guess it was supposed to be funny, but, like, Tulsa? 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 Yeah, put some more syllables in it. That'll work.
Is that what the internet's become?
That's what it's become. That and Running Man videos. Have you seen the Running Man challenge videos?
No.
I'm just going to bring it up for a second. I
thought it was all cat videos. I thought that was all the rave.
Well, now the new thing is doing this stupid Running Man dance. But Chris, we grew up, you know, in the same era.
Yeah.
Steve too, kind of. And
yeah, but I still won't know what you're talking about.
Right. So, like, they're doing this Running Man challenge video where people do this Running Man dance, but it's not the fucking Running Man. Like, we've all seen the Running Man.
Right.
I mean, it was created, you know, it reached its peak during our childhood or adolescence or whatever. And they've, like, completely changed the dance into something entirely different. So not only is it, like, these annoying videos, but they're annoying because now they're not even doing the dance right. So it just pisses me off, and they're everywhere.
Assholes.
I say we find all of them.
We find all of them.
And destroy them. Okay, no. I don't have that much ambition. Or time, for that matter.
Or power.
Or money. I'm pretty much fucked on all counts there. We're just not going to be able to do anything. We might be able to write a letter, Matt. I think I can afford postage.
I can't afford a stamp right now.
We can shoot out an email. That's free.
I can use the local internet connection at the library, so I should be good there.
I want you to just fucking sit on that for a couple of
This
seconds.
guy hasn't missed a beat, has he?
Well, see here, you know, I don't
Fucking
have any
jack.
money,
Shut the
so
fuck up. Just fucking sit in
go
it.
to the
It was a big
library
pile of shit, and you know it.
McDonald's has free
I'm
Wi-Fi,
talking to
too.
you right now from my house, but I gotta go to the library.
I was going to start spitting out random spoilers about X-Men Apocalypse, but then I started thinking about it, and there really aren't any. Like, how can you spoil that movie? I mean, seriously.
Well, it hasn't aired in U.S. theaters yet.
But I'm just saying, like, you know, if you think about the things that happen in that movie, there's nothing to spoil.
2 hours after this podcast, there will be a group of fucking agents storming Matt's house.
Yeah. I mean, I just got back from overseas where I saw it. And,
I saw this very special screening. There was a man's head at the bottom of the fucking screen the whole time.
down in front. He's not listening. There's somebody throw him out of here.
Oh, shit. No, I was seriously hoping to talk a little bit about fucking the Dogman bullshit.
Here we go again.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna. Hey, I know that you're disgusted with it, but you're the one that asked me if we've done a fucking Dogman show, you prick.
So, here's the deal with the Dogman.
I know what your deal with the Dogman is.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm a, shall we say,
You're
a staple in the
anti-Dogman.
Bigfoot community.
You're anti-Dogman.
But I am, and everybody believes in it now, and there's all these sightings of them, and I just think they're all horseshit. And you know, like, okay, I go around saying I've seen a Bigfoot, so who am I to call a Dogman story horseshit? But it is. You saw a dog, man.
Pretty much.
No, but there's this time a fellow Bigfooter that I was friends with down in Texas. I was on the phone with them, and their son and a couple of his friends were all camping out at the back of their property. They own like a 40-acre parcel of land. And this land backs up to more land, so it's all wilderness, basically, forested land. And they were back there camping. They had, over the years, they had cut a trail for their ATVs and cleared out an area around a pond and another area where they would feed deer at, I think.
Or lure deer in to shoot them.
No, they just feed them.
Oh.
Because deer can't find food on their own in the wild.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah. They were back there camping. The three boys were. And whenever I say boys, I mean like two of them were 18 and the other one was 16, I think.
They were younger guys.
Younger guys, but not kids. So anyways, they're back there camping. And the story goes, I'm going to have to kind of tell it out of order for it to make sense. They hear whistling. Not like birds, but like people whistling. And I've been to this property before.
Like a wolf whistle?
No. I don't know. I didn't ask them to impersonate the whistle. They just sound like a single tone whistle.
Okay, gotcha.
So I would find it very hard to believe that it was people on this property where they were at. I mean, middle of the night, somebody would have had to have hiked for a while to get there and then just happened to show up at this camping location on somebody else's private property. It'd be weird. Anyways, they heard whistling, limbs snapping, stuff like that. So they get a little bit nervous. And I think the main kid asked the other ones, you guys want to leave? No, we're fine. Well, then it got closer, and then they heard walking around that sounded bipedal, of course. It always does whenever you're scared in the woods. But then something started throwing, like, sticks at the tent, and, like, sticks were hitting the tent. So they take off. They grab their shit, which was just an ice chest. They left the tent and everything, and they load up on the ATV, and they haul ass back to the house. So they're going up this trail towards the house. I'm not sure how far away from the house they were. I think he said like it was about a 5-10 minute drive on the ATV. So one of the boys is driving, and keep in mind it's nighttime, so he has the lights on and everything. And the other two boys are sitting on the back of the ATV facing behind them. So they're seeing down the trail as he drives up it. And they've got the ice chest sitting on their lap between the two of them. and the handle was folded down. Well, as they're going down the trail, it felt like something snagged the ice chest, like the ice chest started being pulled forcefully off their laps. They assumed it was a tree limb or something had grabbed the handle. And so they yell for him to stop the ATV because they're losing the ice chest. And I think it basically like slid all the way off of one boy's lap, and the other one was like holding on to it whenever the ATV stopped. And then the boy whose lap it slid off of reached for it and grabbed it and pulled it back up. And as he was doing that, the other boy looks behind them, and illuminated by the brake lights, he said it was standing like 8 to 10 feet away, I think. It was really close. He says he looked up, and at first he just saw like hair and stuff. He was looking at these hairy legs, and he kind of pans his head upward, looking at this thing, and it just keeps going and going and going, and he finally gets to a face, and he said that it looked like what he would believe to be a Bigfoot, but it had like a snout or a muzzle on it, and it was all covered in hair, and the hair on the muzzle was like what he described at the time looked caked and like covered in like mud or something, and it had long teeth. He could see the teeth like the canines, but he didn't notice like there weren't any ears on top of the head or anything. And it was just sitting there like looking at him, and he freaks out. And about that time, the ATV starts going, and he kind of like buries his face down in his jacket, and he's like praying the whole time back to the house. And they get back to the house, and he runs inside, like leaves the other two boys out there, and he's just crying and in hysterics. Well, whenever they got back to the house, I was on the phone, with the mom, and all this chaos starts happening while I'm on the phone. She's like asking him, what's wrong, what's going on? He's just like bawling. He's like, shaking, like crying. And he tells her, I just saw something. I don't know what it was. He's freaking out or whatever. And she's like, well, is it a Bigfoot? And he's like, no. It did look like what a Bigfoot's supposed to look like. And she put him on the phone with me. So I start interviewing this kid as best I can, getting him calmed down and everything. Spent probably about 30 minutes to an hour on the phone with him. What I can tell you about him is he's been living in the same house his whole life, which was across the road from that house. So he was used to the area. He was used to the animals in the area. He grew up hunting. He's your typical Texas redneck kid. He had hunted bears before. The only bears they have around there are like black bears, which are very small down in Texas. And he said that this thing was standing up, and whenever he looked up at it, he would guess it would have been over 6 foot tall, much larger than a man. Like I said, covered in hair, and he just kept on talking about the snout and like sticking out of the front of this thing's face. And that it didn't look like what people described a Bigfoot as. And he had known people in the area, talking about Bigfoot and everything. Obviously, he knew, my research partner, so he had heard about Bigfoot. So he did have Bigfoot on the brain. He was certain it wasn't a bear. He kept on saying, no, it didn't have ears like a bear. It wasn't a bear. It wasn't standing like a bear. And so I sent him a bunch of pictures of animals with snouts or muzzles. Like I sent him like a German Shepherd, a pit bull, like a baboon, and a wild hog, and maybe a couple others that I can't think of. And out of all those pictures, he said it looked most like the baboon, not the mandrills with all the colors or anything, but just typical baboon. He said it was more of a squared off snout, more like a dog's muzzle. And he kept on talking about the hair being caked back. It looked like mud, which I would assume would have been dried blood probably, but I wasn't going to say that to him. And yeah, he was just really freaked out about it. And he actually sent me a drawing of what he saw. It wasn't a great drawing or anything, but he drew basically what I would have called like a werewolf looking creature, except it didn't have pointy ears on top. And that's the report of a dogman that I took.
Yeah. And I know you had told that on the show before. Not in that much detail, though, I don't think.
Yeah, probably not.
I mean, I know you told that the ice chest got pulled off. He saw the thing, and then that you had showed him the images of the baboon, or all the animals with snouts, and then he picked the baboon.
Now, one thing that's kind of interesting to note, though, that story's never been like reported on the internet in any official sense, and it's not like on a database or anything. But in that same area of Texas, there was another report where a guy who worked for the county, he had a job picking up roadkill. And he was driving his truck around one morning because I guess, people will like phone in like there's a dead deer on Highway 6 or something. So he's out there picking up roadkill. Hell of a job.
Good times.
So he stops and he puts some sort of carcass in the back of his pickup truck, and he's pulled over on the shoulder with his hazards on, and I guess it's like a wooded area that he's in. And he gets in his truck and he checks his rear view mirror for traffic, so he doesn't pull out into traffic. And whenever he looks in his mirror, he sees this big hairy thing. With the muzzle and everything, same description that this kid gave, like grabbing some roadkill out of the back of his truck. And he was just kind of like, what the hell? And he like turned around to look, and whenever he did, he said it was running back off into the woods with the roadkill that it had taken. But he described it like a Bigfoot with like a muzzle, just like this kid did.
That story was on Monster Quest, wasn't it?
Yeah. It got pretty famous. And I know
it was in the same area.
Yeah, it was. Well, Eastern Texas is the area I'm talking about. So I guess that's technically a pretty broad area because Texas is known to be kind of big. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, and I like I said, we've gone over. I believe we've gone over both of those cases before, and. Because God, we were all fans of Monster Quest when that was on. Yeah, as flawed as it was, and as I've always said that you can't go out into the woods for a week or a week and a half or 2 weeks, film a few things, do a couple of things, and then expect that you're going to have instant results.
Right.
I mean, all those Monster Quest shows, they took one individual cryptid. I mean, they did Bigfoot, everyone, multiple times, but they only ever went out into the woods for like a week and a half.
Yeah, they didn't really put any work into actually trying to accomplish anything.
It was a dog and pony show.
Right.
But I mean, hey, even though it was a dog and pony show. It's still
one of the better shows on the subject that there's ever been.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There was a limited budget anyway. I mean, they couldn't actually spend more time,
Right.
But that's
the way TV is.
Right. But if you're gonna do something like that, do it. Don't half-ass it, because that just makes it. Because in retrospect, you look back on it. Yeah, I can still sit around and watch them because there's interesting information there. They go into a lot of the history of the creatures and like different sighting reports and so on and so forth, and they interlace it with all of that research footage that they're doing in the area. This is our big research expedition that we're going to do for 2 days. That's it. We'll give you our results.
So in your sighting report, Matt, and also the one with the guy picking up the dead animals and shit, both of them kind of seen him, in poor lighting conditions, right? Yeah. You said the kid's seen it in, the light of the brake lights. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the case for misidentification could be pretty high there. I would say. I mean, the guy saw it in his rearview mirror. The guy picking up the roadkill.
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
beginning
I
to
agree. I
wonder.
mean, the kid was already scared to begin with, and he was on property that
Right.
was known to have Bigfoot, and he'd heard Bigfoot stories. But that was also something that kind of lended some credence to it because
True.
why didn't he describe a Bigfoot? You know, and he kept
Right.
on like reiterating the point that it wasn't supposed to look like that. They're not supposed to look like that. And I mean, I could obviously tell. I mean, an 18-year-old redneck kid isn't going to sit there on the phone with a stranger crying. Like, he believed he saw something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, whenever I questioned him, you know, on the possibilities, like, I think he'd be able to tell the difference between a bear and whatever he saw, but
I don't know.
I don't know.
The one point that kind of stuck out to me was you said there was like mud or something on the muzzle.
Yeah.
Well, you know, most black bears have a brown muzzle.
Right, but black bears in Texas get about 100 pounds, and if they're standing on their hind legs, they might reach 4 feet. They're not big at all. They're like a large dog.
Right. And
And this thing, he said, whenever he looked forward, sitting on the back of an ATV, he was looking at like basically this thing's crotch area, and he had to crane his neck up to see its face. So that's way taller than a black bear.
could be. I mean, but you did say, you know, he's in a heightened sense of fear already.
Right.
And, you know, I'm not trying to pick apart the kid's story. I'm just trying to give.
No,
that
it's like
other
every
side of
story
it.
out there. I mean, it can go any way you want to derive it. I mean,
Well, I'm
there's
like
plenty of
I was starting to say I'm beginning to wonder because I fucking listen to the Joe Rogan podcast all the time, and he was talking recently about how black bears, they're finding more and more that they walk on their hind legs, and they're very comfortable doing it. And I'm beginning to wonder if a lot of these dogman or quote unquote dogman stories are just people seeing black bears walking on two legs.
I don't think so. And the reason that I don't think so is because I think a lot of these dogman stories are happening from people that are already interested in the dogman or hearing about the dogman, and they want to have a story to tell too.
Well, that's indicative of every genre.
Yeah, but a big difference between a lot of the dogman stories is they'll say like it has like the same leg shape as a dog, which bears don't have.
Right, I have heard that
They'll
as
talk
well.
about the hands and, you know, seeing fingers and I don't know. With this kid, and just another thing, and I'm willing to admit, yes, it could have been a bear. I don't know. But I did specifically ask him whenever he sent me the drawing that he sent me, the creature had broad shoulders. And I said, did you see this thing's shoulders? And he said, yeah, they were really wide. And bears don't have shoulders.
Approximately how long did he see the thing for? I mean, was it like a minute, 30 seconds?
No, it was, I would say maybe a maximum of like 10 seconds.
Yeah. Well, it's clear that he saw something, and
Yes.
he believes at least he believes he did. So you
And
can't.
whatever he saw created a visual image in his head. Whether it was the correct image or not, I don't know.
Well, and
Well-
I've told my story of running into the wild dogs or whatever the fuck they were. I don't know if it was wild dogs. I don't know if it was fucking coy wolves or whatever. Here in Maine, but I mean, I can tell you from being in that heightened sense of awareness, you're very like I still to this day I know I saw a set of eyes and a muzzle to my right when I turned right. I know I saw that. But other than that, I couldn't tell you. You know, there's no other information I could give you other than the fact that my cousin, when he turned around, says he saw 3 dogs walking us out. Just walking us up the trail.
I don't know.
So being in that heightened sense of, fear, that whole thing, because I thought I was dead. You know, I thought for sure I was done. When I turned and saw that, I thought, that's it. You're fucked. You know, you wanted to go camping. Here you go. Fucking welcome to it. I thought
enjoy the great outdoors.
Yeah, I thought it was all fucking over.
Here's what I'm wondering about the kid that you interviewed. You know, he, like you said, he was already scared shitless. He was already thinking about a Bigfoot-like creature, and maybe, let's just say, for example, he did see a bear on its hind legs. Maybe those two things melded in his mind. You know, his mind just saw what he was thinking and what he was seeing at the same time. Is that a possibility? Be. I mean, is that do you think a lot of these sightings are something like that? Because I mean, if you go out to find Bigfoot, how many people go out to look for Bigfoot, find a Bigfoot? You know, that kind of
if you've read any of the comments on the videos, we're not allowed to say that anymore, Steve.
Go fuck them. Go fuck themselves. I'll say whatever the fuck I want. This is our show.
Okay.
Wow.
What are we not allowed to say?
Oh, someone was bitching about the fact that we say that if people go out in the woods to find Bigfoot, that they'll find Bigfoot. And what we mean when we say that is that if someone goes out under the intention of finding Bigfoot, everything that everything that they find is going to be related to Bigfoot. I mean,
I don't think there's a damn thing wrong with saying something like that. No, because that's I don't either. Truth.
It's very much the truth. We've run into it with friends of ours or former friends of ours.
Well, I mean, technically, I had my Bigfoot sighting whenever I was looking for Bigfoot.
Right, but
so I would fit into that category. I understand what you're saying, though.
Right, but you know exactly what I mean. But when I say that, though,
yeah,
it has nothing to do with someone whom I think has a credible experience. It has to do with, we found these tracks, and they weren't really Bigfoot tracks. They were bear tracks.
But they were close enough to pass.
And people will still stand behind them and say, hey, this is Bigfoot. So I don't give a shit. When people go out looking for this type of stuff, they're going to find this type of stuff. It happens in the UFO community. I think it happens in the ghost hunter communities. You go out looking for ghosts.
You want to.
Yeah.
You can send a Bigfoot hunter and a ghost hunter into the same patch of woods and tell one that it's a haunted area and one that Bigfoot lives there, and they're going to find two different things.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
And it's been that way for a long time.
I mean, I think that the question there is the person willing to be honest with themselves or not?
Well, no. You're always going to have...
I don't think it's as much of a psychological factor as it is just people making shit up. To be perfectly honest.
Well,
I do believe
that
the
in and of itself
factor exists.
That in and of itself is a psychological factor, Matt. I mean, if you think about it.
If you see something that you know was bullshit, but you go ahead and say that it wasn't.
Right, that makes you a pathological fucking liar.
I don't know if it makes you a pathological liar or not, but it makes you... I mean, we've seen it time and time again. I think these people just want to be accepted by somebody.
Right.
And that's their way of doing it, so they're going to go along with the game.
So this is the new... Yeah, no, I fucked a girl once.
Yeah. It's locker room talk, basically, but...
I feel like bags of sand.
Yeah, no, I got to third base, really.
But I'm really wondering what percentage of these sightings, that we hear about are, let's just assume they're Bigfoot hunters or people interested in Bigfoot in the first place, and they see something of that nature, and it just automatically becomes that because that's what they're looking for, is what I'm saying.
But what is of that nature?
Well, because like a bear on two legs, or...
Okay, do you know what a fucking bear looks like?
Well, sure.
Okay, so you wouldn't recognize it as a bear if you saw one out in the woods? You'd be like, "Oh, that's a Bigfoot. That's definitely not a bear." Everybody knows what a fucking bear looks like.
I know what a fucking bear. I know what a bear looks like. I can tell you that in piss poor lighting at night, I could mistake a bear for something else.
Sure, if it's up on two
and
legs,
I think anyone could.
You're seeing it in the rearview mirror or in the brake lights or something like that, I think it's very possible that you could mistake something like that. I might, I don't know.
I don't think so.
Well,
Okay.
I can tell you, I grew up in the woods, and
I've seen lots of videos of bears walking on two legs, and there's no way I would mistake that for
But those
a man that's 8 feet tall, running his ass off through the woods with bent knees and fucking knocking trees out of the way with his arms.
I'm not saying every sighting. I'm just
Right.
saying some, a few.
If you got a glimpse of something, then it's just a glimpse of something. There's no reason to call it anything. So in those situations, yes, I think somebody could get a glimpse of a bear and just pretend that they saw a Bigfoot and say, oh, that was a Bigfoot. But if you are actually looking at the thing, there's no way you would misidentify it.
I don't know, a good portion of Bigfoot, Dogman, even UFO ghost sightings only last seconds, a couple seconds. So,
But once again, okay, so get a couple of flashcards, one with a bear and one with a gorilla, and tell me you can't tell the difference.
well, I'm sure, I could, but if
I
I'm
think
already...
there's more people that misidentify Bigfoot for bears.
I think so.
Yeah. I think a lot more people see Bigfoot than they realize, and they just assume it's a bear or something.
That's a bold statement,
Okay.
son.
It
That
is.
a bold statement.
It's an
But
extreme-
it could be
You have
true,
to understand,
but I
this
think
is
it'd be
going-
possible.
This conversation is literally happening on the heels of me reading an interview with Dr. Jeff Meldrum, where he says that he postulates that to determine if a Bigfoot is in an area, it has to have an active black bear population, because if it has an active black bear population, it could habitate a Bigfoot. But it really gets to him that people make these claims that Bigfoot live in every state. Now, I took that a specific way. I know there's no Bigfoot in Hawaii.
Right.
And I would dare say, even though there's reports from there, I don't believe there's any in Rhode Island just because of the size. Maybe they travel through there. I don't know. I've never been to Rhode Island. But I'm assuming that he's talking about other states. So then I go and I look at a black bear population map of the United States, and I see that there's just a tiny sliver in southeastern Oklahoma. So all of my Bigfoot sightings in Oklahoma, all my encounters, my experiences didn't actually happen. And the entire state of Texas, except for the extreme southern parts down by Mexico, are void of black bear populations. So all the reports coming out of Texas are false. Mississippi has no black bear population, so all the reports out of Mississippi are false.
Yeah, but you're
And that's
going on
bullshit.
something that he's just postulating.
Right. So, this black bear argument has been the skeptical tool for decades now, and I think it's bullshit.
Well,
I even messaged Meldrum and asked him, which state specifically are you talking about? You know what his response was?
no, I know.
Buy my Sasquatch field guide. The map's in there.
Did you buy it?
No. You can't just fucking tell me. You got to try to sell me something?
In a way, I agree with Meldrum. The fact that if you have black bear, it could support a Bigfoot, but that doesn't mean if you don't have black bear, it doesn't.
Right. One thing doesn't necessarily correlate to the other.
You have the same type of, obviously black bear live on certain types of foods and stuff. They just don't populate everywhere. So they could live in some of those areas, right? I'm assuming. They just don't.
Gotta ask Meldrum.
Oh yeah, because he's
but then he's going to tell us to buy the book, man.
Really grinds his gears. That's not used, but
so
he said that it bothers him that people want to say that there's Bigfoot in all these different states. So he's obviously one of those people that are from the camp that, yes, the Pacific Northwest can have them, but nobody else can. It doesn't make sense. If they're here, they're here. There's bears everywhere. There's rabbits everywhere.
Well, Well, I think if any forested
about
area can
Dogman?
support a large animal, then it could support a Bigfoot.
Yeah. See, I always thought that werewolves were actually based off of
A
the
myth?
Germanic folklore. Right. And then werewolf stuff that happened in the United States was possible Bigfoot sightings, or, they heard howls at night and they just assumed it was a werewolf or something for some reason.
Right. I get you.
So like that was always the line of thinking I had. And then these Dogman stories start popping up, and there are some, pieces of Native American folklore that talk about creatures that are kind of described as dogmen, not described like Bigfoot. So
The Yinel Delashi.
okay.
Yeah, it's the
No,
it's
it's
the
a-
skinwalker. The
I don't know. A few
shapeshifter.
years ago, you didn't even hear about Dogman at all. I mean, very little. You had
Right.
the Beast of Prey Road and that kind of stuff, but you very rarely heard about it. And now
Well-
you hear about it all the fucking time.
I've got a friend, Vic Cundiff. He has his own podcast about dogmen encounters, and he's, in the hundreds on episode numbers, and he has a guest on every week talking about their dogman encounter. And they're
I just
constantly being called and contacted about people who had a dogman encounter, and people
I can't believe there are
in
that
the
many.
Bigfoot community are sitting here asking questions all the time and wanting us to talk about dogmen. Like that's like asking us to talk about the Loch Ness monster. I don't know. Don't know anything about it. It's weird. It's definitely a phenomenon. Whether it's an actual creature or not,
I,
is yet to be seen.
I think it's much more plausible to have a Bigfoot-like creature that it's more like either an ape or a human or whatever than a bright canine. I just don't. I can't buy it.
Not buying that one.
No, I'm not buying it.
I've always said I like the stories. I like the myths. I like the legends. I don't know that I fucking can subscribe to a dog man or a werewolf type creature walking around. Like that, does that mean that it doesn't exist, or that it's, outside of the realm of possibility? I don't fucking know. I have not a fucking clue.
You look at the history of it, and you had scattered sightings, every once in a while, mostly around Wisconsin and Michigan, and now you're getting them all over the fucking place. And either, those dog men are getting busy with the dog women really a lot more, or people are just
Maybe they're like coyotes, and when you start killing them off, they fucking produce more litters.
It's got to be that. That must be what it is. Maybe they're coyote men. That's what they are.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
I think it's I want to fucking beat myself for saying this, a fascinating subject, because I say that a lot. To talk about. I mean, as much as we all have our issues with it, it's a fascinating fucking subject. It's the fact that people are having these sightings, the fact that there is this debate going on and whether or not these things are misidentified Bigfoot, misidentified bear, whatnot, whatever the fuck it is. It definitely is an interesting conversation to be had. I mean, whether or not these things are actually out there. And for the record, Vic Cundiff, let me embed your fucking videos on my blog. For the love of fucking Christ.
That's not going to happen. I talked to him about it. He had somebody stealing his videos, which is why he quit allowing embedding.
Oh, that makes sense. It doesn't.
Which, by the way, people, if you happen to catch, a video on some random channel that belongs to somebody else, don't support that other channel. Go watch it on the original station.
Yeah. Like I've always said, if you want to support the Fortean Slip, support the Fortean Slip. If you want to fucking, support a channel, support it where it is. If somebody steals a video and puts it somewhere else, it's because it happens to almost everybody.
Yeah, we've had some stolen.
Yeah, it has happened. But I've always I've never taken any action or gone off after anybody. I just fucking let it go.
No, embedding from YouTube generally still goes to the YouTube video, but there must be a way that people can take it without it going there, without him getting credit for it. Is that what you're saying, Matt?
Right.
Because if you just use the embed code from YouTube, it still goes to YouTube, and it still goes to his.
Right, he still gets the hits for it. So I don't get it. It doesn't make much sense on that aspect, unless by disabling embedding, you're disabling people from downloading the video. But they can still easily fucking just snag it or do something like that.
I downloaded one of Vic's shows so that I could listen to it at work, and it's still possible to do that. So I don't know that embedding would actually, disabling embedding would actually do anything. But I don't know because I'm not.
I actually wanted to support his show because not that I'm like I said, not that I fucking buy into any of it or anything, but hey, he's got a big fucking following, and I was just gonna fucking start throwing his shows up on the blog every week. Every time he released one, I was gonna start going through all the old ones too and putting them on there. But hey, fuck it. That's what I say. He
certainly. I mean, the subject and Vic certainly attract quite a large audience, and it actually amazes me for that particular subject because, like I said, it's a rather newer phenomenon to be this big.
People want to believe in fantastical shit, man.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah, there's several other podcasts on the subject that have popped up since Vic's, and now it's even gone farther. Now there's multiple types of Dogman. There's like 7 different varieties or something. It's just it's taken on a life of its own. That's for sure.
Alpo should jump on the fucking bandwagon.
They should.
I remain skeptical of 99.9%.
I want to see the first Dog Chow Dogman video.
I
can say the concept of a wolf man terrifies me, but the concept of like a Labrador man isn't that frightening.
Poodle man, that would be
Yorkshire Terrier man.
So scary. Yeah, what breed of dog is the dog man? Well, you said there's 7 different kinds, but they're all scary, so they must be like mean dog men.
Does the Dalmatian dog man fight fires?
I don't know. But those videos that people take with their dogs where they put their hands behind them and have them eat stuff, that shit terrifies me.
What about Pitbull Dogman?
Me out so bad. So like, a Dogman is a very frightening concept.
I want to know if they're
if it's like eating a bowl of cereal.
I want to know if they're like the MMA fighters of the Dogman world.
It could be.
I think so. Steve, you got any fucking news?
Maybe Dogmen are Bigfoot's pet. Eh? I got news.
Good. Now that we've irritated Matt enough.
First in the news, a chupacabra sighting.
Actually, I don't have any chupacabra news this week, Matt. I was not sure you were actually going to be on the show, so I didn't,
Well, you did say I was dead.
I was just going to fucking say that.
You're
dead to me. Your family dead. Your friends dead.
WCSH6.com must be a local news station out there near Portland, Maine.
Yeah, that is.
Guess what they got? Guess what they got now? They got a big Woody, the new home of the International Cryptozoology Museum.
No, because you're still thinking that joke that you told was funny.
The Big Woody joke?
Yeah.
Okay. Or the library joke from earlier.
No, the Big Woody.
Okay. Big Woody. A wooden, well, that's what I'm dubbing it. Maybe Lauren Coleman will, put a little plaque there with my name on the bottom because I named the sculpture.
Yeah, sure.
Dubbed Big Woody by Steve Alcorn.
A wooden sculpture of Bigfoot took up residence on Saturday inside the otherwise empty exhibition hall at Thompson's Point in Portland. A more than 8 foot tall, 800-pound statue. It took a team of men to lift the sculpture into place, but the perch is only temporary. Bigfoot will eventually be bolted onto a podium outside of an entrance to greet visitors. Bigfoot offers just a hint of what visitors will find inside as they wander past exhibits about rare, weird, and impossible animals. The museum is currently based on Avon Street in Portland, I'm assuming. By moving to Thompson's Point, it gains more room for displays and parking. The new location is set to open on July 1st. So that's real close to you, ain't it, Chris?
Yeah, never been.
Yeah, well, you should. It's opening in July.
Actually, I was talking to Matt about this recently, and I'm thinking about when the new one opens. I'm thinking about taking my kids there. I'm hoping I can run into Lauren Coleman and be like, "Hey, you want to do an interview?"
Maybe there'll be a ceremonial thing when they place that plaque, and because you're my, co-host.
You're not getting a fucking plaque. Just get off that fucking joke. Please.
I want to.
You fucking fell off the fucking bull in less than 8 seconds, all right?
I demand respect. I should have respect on the show. I've been told. Somebody told me I should demand respect.
So since somebody told me to demand it, I'm going to.
You can demand it all you want. You're not going to get it.
I'm good enough? No, I'm not going to go there. Inquisitor.com.
You're dumb enough?
That's not respect.
Sorry.
Pilots from Turkish Airlines were flying from Turkish resort town of Bodrum to the country's...
Whoa. Turkish resort town?
It says Bodrum. To the country's largest city, Istanbul, when they saw a mysterious green light over their plane late on May 19th. A strange object flashing green lights flew over the plane, stirring speculation about a UFO sighting.
It's a UFO, Steve.
An unidentified object with green lights passed 2,000 to 3,000 feet above us. Then it disappeared all of a sudden. We are guessing, it's a UFO. The two pilots told the Air Traffic Control Center at Istanbul's Ataturk Airport. I think that's how it's said. I'm sure. The UFO was reported to be seen around Istanbul's Silivri district. The object and the mysterious green light were spotted when the plane was flying around 17,000 feet above sea level at 11:30 p.m. on May 19th, according to the pilots. The plane landed at the airport around 30 minutes later. The doubters are claiming that this is a case of error in judgment. They are dismissing the pilot's claim, saying that there's a good chance that the refraction off the cockpit glass would make it appear as though there was an object above them. Swamp gas, I think. Many people
What about a
also
weather
claim
balloon,
that...
Steve?
What's that?
What about a weather balloon?
It could have been a weather balloon. That was common.
Could have been, I don't know, a meteor burning green?
No. Well, some people claim that someone hit the cockpit with a green laser pointer, and the pilots couldn't figure out where it came from. But for the pilots to report that a green-lit object passed over them and disappeared would suggest an exposure of a few seconds at least, if not more. Pilots do not report fleeting flashes of light as UFOs. Almost all pilots are familiar with laser pointers and have had experience with them being shined at their planes. The object must have been visible for a few seconds, which makes a laser pointer very unlikely because, they only last less than a few seconds.
5 months from now, under hypnosis, they'll say that they were anally probed after the flash of light.
Maybe it was a misidentified black bear standing on 2 legs.
Could have been. Could have
wearing moss because it was green. Other people claiming it could be an atmospheric phenomena. This is the latest UFO sighting reported. Many people have claimed to have spotted a UFO in 2000 or spotted UFOs in 2016, but this was, the most recent. So I don't know. Could have been a UFO. This is my favorite story of the night, although it's kind of scary. Canadian student, from dailymail.co.uk, although it's been reported in a lot of papers. A Canadian student who stabbed 5 to death at a house party believed he was killing Medusas and werewolves and says the Son of God was controlling him.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
Jesus had him killing Greek mythology creatures?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, yes.
It's always good to mix your religions.
Why wouldn't Jesus want to do that?
In Canada?
Get rid of the competition.
It's called bath salts.
Matthew DeGrood has admitted stabbing 5 students to death at a party. DeGrood says he believed he was killing Medusas and werewolves. He said God's son was controlling him and thought the apocalypse was nigh. The student had garlic around his neck to keep the zombies away and thought he was Darth Vader. DeGrood denies murder, and attorneys will argue.
The kid was fucking crazy.
He denies murder, and his attorneys will argue that he is mentally unstable.
And they will win.
No shit. I'm not going to read the whole story, but it's he has a quotation down here I got to read if I can find it. It's funny. Oh, here he goes. He says, I stabbed people in the house. I just want to say that when I stabbed them, I tried to do it mercifully. I aimed for their heart. They did put up a struggle, which made it hard. So, it wasn't sadistic or anything. I didn't enjoy killing at all. I said sorry. But the Son of God was controlling me. Yeah. The killings are the worst to ever take place in Calgary. The attack was described by city's police chief as the worst mass murder in Calgary's history. DeGrood has pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder, with his legal team expected to argue he is not criminally responsible on mental health grounds.
Wow.
I never understood how somebody could get away with multiple stabbings while everyone was awake.
Yeah, he didn't have a gun. How did they just...
I personally would not let him get away with, say, number 2. he might get in number 1, but at that point, I'm grabbing an object and hitting him with it.
I mean, it doesn't say he tied him up or anything. I mean, did they just stand there and wait their turn? Or I don't know.
Maybe he was right in telling the truth about everything.
And they really were werewolves and Medusas.
Well, he did.
Except for the Darth Vader part.
Yeah, no, there's no way he was Darth Vader.
He didn't have the garlic around his neck. It was inside his sock and his jacket.
Oh.
So he did it wrong. Apparently.
He was using it against zombies, so he was screwed from the beginning.
Right.
Good times.
Anyway, that's the news.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful. What about Mick West? Any luck?
Mm-mm.
Damn it. Damn it. Oh, and by the way, Preacher, if you haven't seen it, worth the fucking watch. The pilot episode aired last night on AMC. It was fucking great. This has been episode 116 of the Fortean Slip. If you like this shit, hit the little thumbs up button. If you don't, hit the little thumbs down button. Leave a comment. Subscribe. Tell us how awful we are and that we swear too much. That's a common theme. Check out Dred Funn at dredfunn.com and youtube.com/Dred Funn. Check out Matt Knapp at bigfootcrossroads.com. Do you put your show episodes up there, Matt?
Oh, no.
No.
You can just look up Bigfoot Crossroads on YouTube.
Yeah, look up Bigfoot Crossroads on YouTube. See ya!
Fucking.